Yeah.
Ok. Seguimos en el LTE Latin American Summit, que se celebra en la ciudad de Río esta semana, todo relacionado con LTE. Nos visita David Chambers de Amdocs para hablar un poco de la visión de Amdocs. Saben que últimamente, evidentemente, estamos en tantos shows que hay empresas que se repiten, pero bueno, vamos cambiando. Por suerte, hay muchos ejecutivos en cada empresa y hoy contamos con la presencia de David, con quien vamos a estar hablando en inglés un poco también del rol de Amdocs en el mundo LTE. David, welcome to Telesemana.
Thank you.
So I was telling the audience that we've been discussing things with Amdocs this year quite a bit. We were with you at the Mobile World Congress, we were with you at the TM Forum, not with you but with Amdocs. So we try to give a different message today. So tell us, what is your role within the LTE ecosystem specifically? Why? Because one of the things that probably is one of the themes here is, okay, I'm going to be investing on LTE. Now I need to make money. So I'm guessing that Amdocs probably is playing a role on that.
Oh, very much so. So, as you know, Amdocs is a very large company, 20,000 staff, deployed in many countries in the world, and has complete BSS and OSS solution. My specific role as Director of Solution Marketing for OSS is to look at what the impact of LTE and 4G networks is to the OSS system. So those are the parts of the network that configure, control, provision the services and the network itself, and roll it out quickly.
Okay.
So we've come up across Amdocs overall with a 4-stage model, and that's around helping networks operators, service providers, to plan and deploy those LTE networks, and that's very much OSS capabilities. And then once they're deployed, to look at provisioning the services, turning on the service, migrating subscribers across to LTE, and lastly, making money out of it, monetizing it, which build on a lot of the capabilities and the technologies that we already have within the company.
Okay, what's the main impact on OSS? Because you said, okay, one of your visions is to look at how LTE will impact OSS.
So one of the things that we've seen is that LTE, it's different in different parts of the world, but we heard in the conference earlier today that one of the major reasons for deploying LTE was as an extra data capacity solution that complements a lot of the 3G capacity. And part of that capacity isn't just putting in LTE capable cell sites, it's putting in more cell sites. While we were talking this morning about a ratio of maybe 4 small cells, the new small cell product, for every macro cell.
Okay.
So if I'm LTE, yeah. Although other vendors will say 3G, Wi-Fi, Okay. The main point is there's going to be many more cell sites deployed. Small ones on the street corners, in the coffee shops, wherever. And so as a network operator, typically with the same number of planning staff, operational staff, deployment staff, I'm going to have to scale up whatever systems I have in place to do that network planning and that management to handle this much greater number. And the second thing is, it's going to use new technology, high-speed technology, 50, 100 megabits per cell site. Meanwhile, I've got to keep the plates spinning on my 2G and 3G network. So the particular solutions that we have, we call it a single-click network rollout, is a software solution that out of the box knows about all these 2G, 3G, 4G networks and understands the technical design process to deploy these new types of networks very quickly and accurately in a matter of mouse clicks. I can take a requirement for one of these new small cells or expanding a large macro cell, and it will calculate and design all of the impact end to end across the network and spit a whole set of instructions to my engineering teams or directly onto the network to configure and control it.
Okay, and now that you mentioned small infrastructure and LTE and the fact that the network is going to explode in the number of cell sites, and although this is the LTE summit and not the Wi-Fi summit, we're also seeing the Wi-Fi offloading coming in.
Yes.
Is that impacting OSS as well?
So I think Wi-Fi, you need to split it into several categories. You've got Wi-Fi at home or in the office it's kind of privately managed.
Yeah, well, I meant the offloading from carriers.
But that's also offloaded. I mean, if you look at some of the content providers we've spoken to, they're looking at how much of their video is consumed over Wi-Fi, and they see a much more complete picture of who and where their services are being consumed compared to just the operator who's offloading that to Wi-Fi. So it's quite a complex space, but there is more interest, yes, now in deploying the public access Wi-Fi in a managed way, and that also means making sure that you've got enough backhaul connectivity, enough transmission infrastructure to support the radio capacity that you're deploying. Yeah. And one of the areas that Amdocs has is the intelligence to work out whether to switch to Wi-Fi or not. So we have live in a European operator today a complete solution that allows the mobile device to be configured to figure out whether to be on Wi-Fi or not.
Okay. Is this something that we should bring to this discussion here with LTE, or do you think that are two separate things? And the reason I'm asking is because, as you were saying, LTE seems to be for capacity increases, and obviously Wi-Fi is to accommodate for capacity as well.
Yes.
So I don't know if...
So the thing is that there are a number of different solutions for what we call the data capacity crunch, and I can certainly share a white paper that we've produced on 10 different ways to deal with that data. 10 different
Okay,
ways.
so we have options.
So there's plenty of options. The thing is that there's no one magic bullet that will fix the situation.
That's what I'm thinking, that probably you have to consider different approaches, right?
And operators are doing exactly that. So we're seeing more advanced 3G, HSPA, LTE, and Wi-Fi femtocells as a way of putting more
those are four.
In
you said 10.
Yeah, there's ways of optimizing the traffic itself. So for example, video is about 50% of data traffic today. If you transcode the traffic, so the video signal, so that it's positioned for the small screen, you can save considerable amount of bandwidth. And there are also situations where working with application providers directly to make them use the bandwidth and the signaling channel more effectively can reduce the load on the network. And there's also policing ways, both in terms of policy management, which we supply policy control functions, and tariff capping, which I'm hearing in some countries, has had a significant effect as well, because it was said maybe a year ago that 2-3% of customers were using 30% of the network capacity. By introducing data caps, that's effectively freed up a significant amount. So there's a whole range of choices that network operators have, and what they have to do is to make those strategic choices, which ones they're going to invest more on. Some are more quick to take effect than others, but it's like conducting an orchestra. You have to make music and make them all line up and work effectively.
And given what you're seeing in other markets, how does compare to Latin America? So what you're seeing in other operators in Europe or the US, as you're saying with the orchestra, managing different things at different speeds and so on, how are you seeing that compared to Latin America? Is there anything we can learn from what you're seeing on that orchestra?
So I'm sure that you can, and certainly the presentation that we saw at the start of the day from Informa was very helpful in highlighting that there are differences in this part of the world. There's some obvious differences, such as in some regions there's less wireline broadband as an option.
Yeah, like here.
Which means that there's more demand for wireless because it's the only option available. In some countries, the CDMA technology has perhaps reached the end of its immediate data lifetime, so they've more quickly adopted LTE, and we've seen that in Japan and in North America. Very heavy, very quick investment. In Europe, things are operating at a different pace. I think we'll continue to see 3G more heavily invested in for some time. So you have to look at on a country by country, not even a regional basis, and figure out where the driver is, whether it's mainly for smartphones and wireless, whether you're trying to do some fixed mobile substitution, what the ARPU is, and whether the cost of providing that over LTE is going to be more cost effective than sticking with traditional technologies for some time. again, the information that we had at the conference, which I thought was quite interesting, was that 2/3 of mobile operators here thought there was a viable case for LTE today.
I think that's worrisome.
And 1/3 don't at the moment.
That's what I'm thinking.
But
1/3 thinking that LTE is not worth investment.
Today, that's today, and part of the reason for that is that the cost of LTE today is going to be high. It's a very high device cost, and so if you're trying to target low cost, low ARPU voice service, there's not a good match. But I think over time, as the technology matures, as the volume increases, those factors will change. And the overwhelming theme that I'm picking up today is that LTE is the answer.
It is around,
It's just a question of time
timing.
scale.
All right. Well, David, thank you so much for sharing your views with us. And I think you have a presentation tomorrow.
We do tomorrow afternoon, 16:25, and we'll be talking about that call. Thanks very much indeed.
You'll be talking about?
We'll be talking about the backhaul in particular, but in this great growth in the number of cell sites, and how the network operators will need different tools and capabilities to manage
all this growth.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting topic. Okay, I'll try to be there if I'm not here doing interviews.
I'd love to see you there.
Thank you. Thank you, David.